Today, we're going to show you how to season your new carbon steel pan.
Seasoning is the process of heating oil to a high temperature to create a hardened layer on the pan. This is what gives carbon steel its famous naturally stick-resistant surface. There are many ways to do this, but today we're going to do the tried and true oven method.
We're going to be seasoning our own Strata Carbon Clad Pan, but you can use this method for any carbon steel pan. Let's get started. Carbon steel comes with an oil or wax coating to keep the pan from rusting in transit, so the first thing we're going to want to do is wash the pan. We're going to use hot water and soap and clean it really thoroughly to make sure we get the whole coating off. And we'll even do the back as well. In order to really get that coating off, we might have to use the scrubby side, and it might leave some scuffs on the top side of your pan, but we're going to season it anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So the next thing you're going to want to do is make sure your pan is dry. So we've just cleaned it. We're going to dry it off a little bit with a paper towel. But the best way to make sure that it's fully dry is to put it on the stove top and heat it up for just 30 seconds to a minute. Put it on medium low. Before we put oil on the pan, we want to make sure it's fully dry because we don't want any moisture under the oil before we season it. It's been about a minute and our pan is fully dry, so we're going to pull it off of the heat, and now it's ready for oil. We're using a high smoke point oil. This one is grapeseed oil. You're just going to put a little bit. We're going to wipe the inside of the pan with a dry paper towel or rag. Make sure you get the entirety of all the carbon steel parts of your pan. So this one is a Strata Carbon Clad Pan, so it only has carbon steel on the top side of the pan. If you have anything else, a solid carbon steel pan, you're going to want to coat the underside of the pan, and in some cases you might want to coat the handle. This is a stainless steel handle, so we don't need to coat the handle. So we've done our layer of oil, and now we're actually going to come in with a dry paper towel and wipe off a little bit of that oil. It should feel like there's not oil left on the pan. I promise you, there is still oil there. All right, so now this is ready to go into the oven. We have preheated our oven to 425, and we're going to stick it in for an hour.
You can choose to put it upside down like I did, which can help prevent pooling if there's excess oil.
A pro tip to get the best looking seasoning is to actually pull the pan out after about 3 or 4 minutes and give it another wipe down with a dry paper towel.
The oil has just started to soften, so by giving it an extra wipe, you can remove some of that excess oil that might start beading. If you wait too long, the oil will have started to polymerize, and in that case, it would start feeling sticky and rubbery, and you can't wipe that off.
All right, so it's been an hour, and we are going to turn off the oven and let the pan cool down in the oven.
Here's what the pan looks like after taking it out of the oven. It should have a golden brown color, but may take on a bluish hue depending on how hot your oven is. It's also normal to see some unevenness or spots. At this point, you could start cooking, but we recommend repeating this process 1 or 2 more times. We're going to do one more layer on our pan, so we're going to add more oil, fully coat the carbon steel, then wipe again with the dry towel, and then put it into the oven for another hour.
So here's the pan after 2 layers of seasoning. This is just the initial seasoning to get you started, but the best seasoning is built layer by layer every time you cook.
It's normal for your seasoning to evolve and change over time, and the performance should improve the more you use it. It should slowly become darker as the seasoning layers build.
So that's how you season a carbon steel pan in the oven. And for anybody who's new to carbon steel, the best advice is just to keep cooking.
Dry paper towel.
Ooh, the pan is hot. It scared me.